6.1 Composition of Tables and Graphs. Well, to start off with, we're going to do a little reviewing. Remember, to evaluate functions, we need either to direct substitute, or if it's a table, look at the y values from the table. If it's a graph, look at the y values from the graph. So, on this first one, we have three graphs here. This one is f, this one is g, and this one is h. So make sure when they tell you which one to look for that you go to the right one. So f of 0 means we're going to go to the f one and go to 0. And when we go to 0, the y value is -1. G of -4 means we're going to go to the g graph and go to -4, and that y value is -1. So g of -4 is -1. So our problem says to take f of 0 plus g of -4. So we're going to add those two together. So it is just -1 plus -1, because we had the plus sign here. And we get -2 for an answer to the first question. Number 2 wants us to take f of -3. So we go back to the f graph, and we go to -3, and we go down, and that y value is -4. So that's -4 for the numerator. G of 2 means we go to the g graph, we go over to 2, and we don't have to go up or down any. That's 0. So -4 divided by 0, we're not allowed to divide by 0 in math. That's undefined. Any other number would be able to get it, but you can't divide by 0, so number 2 is undefined. Number 3, let me make sure I can still see these. H of -6 means we go to the one that's labeled H, go to -6, and you get -5. And if you ever see a star, that's the same thing as a dot for multiply. And we're still on H again. So H of 3, we look at 3, and you get 3. So -5 times 3 is -15. And finally, if you ever see two letters with the in parentheses, with the parentheses right next to them, that's function notation saying f of -3 times h of -3. It's saying take and multiply these two functions at this number for both of them. So f of -3 means we go back over to -3, and f of -3 we said was -4. H of -3, h was the table, so we go to -3. It looks like you get -3. So it's -4 times -3, which is +12. Now, that's the review part. The new part's not much more difficult. What we're going to talk about is a composition of functions. If you ever see an f with an open dot with a g right next to it, or any two letters with an open dot with an x or a number here, that means we're going to put a function inside the other function. So we're going to, you read it as f of g of x. It says f of g of x, and it can be written this way or this way. They mean the same thing. But this means we're going to take the f function, and whatever's inside here gets put in place of the x. So we're going to put g inside of the x. So we're going to be plugging things inside. So let's go to the next page. And on number 5, we have three functions here. We have this one's the f one again, this one's the g one, and this one's the h. So we have to look at what we're looking. We have f of g of 2. Well, we start with the inside. I need to find out what g of 2 is first. G of 2 means I go to the g table and I plug in 2. Looks like you get 3. So g of 2 equals 3. So that means this right here is just a 3. So this problem is f of 3 now. And f of 3 means you go to the f problem and you plug in 3. F of 3 is 3 squared plus 1, which is 9 plus 1, which is 10. So f of 3 is 10. So f of g of 2, you get 10. That means you go to the g, you plug in 2, get that number, and plug it into the f. So we're going to do the same thing on the next one. I'd rewrite this. Open dot is the same thing as saying h of f of 2. So we start with the inside. I need to find out what f of 2 is first. F of 2 means you go to the f problem, which is here, plug in 2. F of 2 is 2 squared plus 1, which is 4 plus 1, which is 5. So that is a 5. So the answer to this problem is, what is h of 5? Well, h of 5 means we go to the h function and figure out what you get when you go over to 5, which is 6. So to write the final answer, sometimes they'll say h of f of 2 is equal to 6. We had to find out what f of 2 is first, and then plug that into the h to get our final answer. So this one, number 7, says we want g of 2. So I got to find out what g of 2 is first. So let's go back, scroll up here. Oh, g of 2 is already circled. It's 3. So this right here becomes a 3. So the answer to this problem is, what's g when you go to 3? When you go to 3, you get 8. So g of 3 is 8. So that means g of 3, no, sorry, g of 2 is 8. And the last one is a triple one. Well, we start with the innermost part. I need to find out what f of 0 is. F of 0 means we go to the f problem, which was this one over here, and plug in 0. 0 squared plus 1 is 0 plus 1, which is 1. So I have an h on the outside, I have a g, and we just figured out that f of 0 is 1. So now I've got to work my way outwards, so I've got to find out what g of 1 is. So we go up to the table, because g is the table. G of 1 is 0. So this right here is a 0. So to find the answer to this question, we need to find out what h of 0 is. Well, h was the graph. H of 0 is halfway between 0 and 2. So h of 0 is 1. So this final answer, if we want to write it out, would be h of g of f of 0, and you get 1. And that's how you're going to do all of these problems on today's assignment. Good luck to you.